you know, when your like bass coach goes like.
It's across the letters, a steal second.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Right, I mean, you can pull on the...
Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of No Coin Drop Required. I am really excited because this week I have a published author on my show. What? I know. I am so excited because DJ Toth is my guest this week. He is the co-author of the book, You're an Asshole. And if you haven't heard about it, then this is going to be a great episode for you because not only do we talk about this book, but there's a lot of other things that we talk about too. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Oh my gosh, DJ. I'm so excited to talk to you. I'm so excited. Let me move this over to the right side. But okay, I should have asked you this before off camera, but I have a horrible time pronouncing last names, and I know I've done your last name wrong multiple times. So it's DJ.
Everybody says it wrong.
It's DJ
Toth.
Toth. DJ
Toth.
Toth.
Everybody says Toth, and I'm like, ugh. But hey, whatever. I never correct them either.
Yeah.
You know, just like,
okay.
Say what you want.
DJ Toth. So I got DJ Toth up in the house. Still waiting for my Don Johnson shirt. I'd love to have my Don Johnson shirt. The one that Sydney wore.
I mean, that's a good shirt. I got actually another one in the works. But and that brings us to something else I'm sure you're going to touch on.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's just go to that right now. All right. Let's go to that.
The Cleveland Pinball Show.
Yes.
Like, this is bad because, like, you know, so many things are getting canceled because of the vid. And it's like, okay, is things going to come back on? Are they going to come back on? You know, Pinburg got canceled. One of the saddest days I've had this year. You know, I mean, that's Christmas, the Super Bowl, my birthday, Halloween, all, you know, because you know how stressful it is trying to get in. And I got actually a kind of a funny quick story. I'll try to make it quick.
That's okay.
So there was 5 of us on a conference call the day they went on sale. It was me, Aaron, the Mayor Mark Brown, Zach Bowers, and I don't want to say that name, Michael Joseph Trombetta.
Yes.
And myself. And we're all talking. Okay, you guys ready? You guys ready? Okay, boom, they're going. Nope, didn't get in. Zach was the only one that got in. So he got all our tickets, and he's like, hey, man, congratulations, we're all in. And I'm like, cool, you know, yeah. So just for fun, you know, we got off the phone, and I'm still on the ticket site, and I go, I hit buy, 5 tickets in my cart. So I'm like, I texted Zach, and I was like, hey, man, I got 5 tickets in my cart. That's pretty funny. He texted me back, like, immediately. He was like, don't give them away. Don't delete. So then Don called me, and he's like, I didn't get a ticket. Joe didn't get a ticket. And I'm like, okay, who else didn't get a ticket? So he's calling people, texting people. I'm on the phone. The clock is ticking.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
To buy these tickets.
Yeah.
He finally gave me the 4th person, then the 5th person. I'm not lying. I wish I had video of it. I pressed buy 4 seconds left.
Oh, my gosh.
The card expired. And I took a deep breath and was like, you're in.
Oh.
So just screwing around saying, hey, that'd be funny. What if I get tickets? And I got 5 other people in, which made me happy, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
They all needed to buy me drinks, and, you know, Don needs to buy me dinner one night, but I guess we got to wait till next year now.
Well, Don can buy you a drink and dinner and then some at Cleepin because as far as I know, Cleepin's still happening, right?
Right now it's on.
Yes.
And I know, you know, there's been talk, like, how the tournament could work, you know, the competitions, but as far as, like, the public coming in, you know, we got to wait and see what, you know, our governor says, you know, how many people are allowed in an area, because you've been to that show, it's big. It's, you know, it's not Pinburg big, which is, you know, no disrespect, but it's a big show.
And that's what I really like about it, is because it's kind of like Cincinnati, if you've been to Cincinnati before.
Yes.
Yeah, where it's like, it's a decent sized show, but it's still small enough that you feel the intimacy of it. Which is not often a word that you use with pinball, right? Oh, it was so intimate. Like, you know, like it's a big show, and like Don, especially because this will be the 6th year, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I think this is the 6th. I'm sorry, Don. You don't watch my show, whatever, so it's fine.
Yeah, whatever, Don. He's a piece of crap. Anyway.
But yes, but I think it's the 6th year. But it's a big enough show that like draws in a good crowd. But you're right, it's still small enough at the same time where it's still like a good setting. But yeah, it'd be really interesting to see kind of, because I think that's the next one. So like it was Pinbur, actually no. Pinbrew I was looking forward to was supposed to be in April,
yes.
Rescheduled for August. So I'm still waiting to see if Pinbrew is gonna happen. So I think it's Pinbrew than Cincinnati.
Looking forward to that one as well. You know, I mean, right now any show. I'll have a show in my backyard and inviting people and be like, let's do a show. Come on.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
But, I mean, the competitive thing is one thing, but I think what I'm looking forward to the most, honestly, is just my people back. You know, I just want to talk. How you been? Catch up. I mean, the only thing that's kind of suck with that is, you know, I'm a hugger, not like Aaron level hugger. I mean, he takes it to a whole new level. But I just to contact with people, like, hey, come here, it's been a while, you know, whoever. It's just that I just want to be around people.
We got to work on our elbow high fives then.
Yeah, I mean the elbow thing, but it's not the same.
No, I agree with you because I'm a hugger as well, and like, especially because like all of you guys and ladies up north, like, I just, you know, it's been forever. Like at this point, I should have seen you at least like 2 shows, and I haven't, right? And or like at least 1 tournament. And so you're right, it's like not only do I miss like the competitive aspect, but I miss seeing my friends because you're right, it's, you know, we haven't seen each other maybe in like 2 months, but like we don't skip a beat. We jump right back in and be like, oh my gosh, hey, how's it going? What's it going? How you doing? What's new? And all that fun stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to getting back into that soon, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting old. I don't know how much more of this pinball stuff I got in me, so I need to take advantage of it now. You know, I need my shows. I need my tournaments. Like, I've seen every episode. You know, I'm a big fan of your show. You know, you're talking about how bummed you were in the one episode about the Texas Pinball Fest, you know, being canceled. You know, the Chicago Expo, I know you were trying to go to that, you know. It's like when you see this thing happen, and then you really think about it, you're like, well, is it going to be different next year, or are we still going to be like, you know, because this thing's all up in the air. You know, every day I wake up, I'm like, is it over yet? And then I'm like, I don't think so, you know. And I mean, around here though, you'd think it would be over because I'm at the grocery store every 2 weeks. I'm working 5 days a week. I haven't, you know, taken that off, but I've stayed at home. I've been to Kid Forest twice, and I went to a friend's, actually 12-foot apart barbecue, and we stayed way apart.
I'm gonna guess. Wait.
3 months.
When you say barbecue, I'm gonna guess you went to Aaron's.
No.
Oh, okay.
But there's another funny story behind that, and we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Speaking of Aaron, I know Aaron wrote the foreword, right? Not the prologue, the foreword to the book you co-authored, which I happen to have a copy right here. Oh, yes,
wow.
Yes. So for those people,
we at least sold 1 copy.
You sold 1 copy, yes, 1 copy, yes. It's not the only copy, and I know JJ's really excited to about this too. So, but yes, I do have a copy of the book that DJ has co-authored called "You're an Asshole," and we're not going to be bleeping this out. So this is going to be a non-censored video because
it's in print. So
yes, it is actually in print. I do have to say though, and I'm a little disappointed because when you read the back, you happen to read the very disappointing email from the Guinness Book of World Records. So before we get into that though, talk to me about the fact that like this is you and Justin, your buddy Justin, co-authored this book. So tell me a little bit about you and Justin and like how this book came about.
Okay, so sadly he no longer works with me. He was wasn't having fun at the job and got a better offer, so he left back in October. But 5 years prior, he started with my company, and we just hit it off immediately. I mean, he's, 16 years younger than me, but we have the same, like, weird sense of humor, and just, we're, like, cut from the same cloth, and it's like, you think like that too? And look, what? You're kidding me, you know? And it's rare to find somebody on that level. Like,
yes.
We had this weird cosmic connection, and, you know, we're the two type of assholes that come up with ideas every day. You know, like, dude, we should start a band. You know, we got music going, and we're, like, doing parodies of the song. Like, instead of singing the regular lyrics, we're making up lyrics. I'm like, dude, we should start a band. He's like, yeah, absolutely. So I'm like, oh, I got the name of the band. He's like, cool, I got our first song. And I'm like, well, I got the second song. And, like, we're actually writing all this down. Like, I have a log of stuff that we've done. We started 2 bands, never recorded a note. But we have 2 bands, 2 albums. We wrote a movie.
I love it. I love
and
it.
It's like, finally, you know, I'm like, one day we had this thing, you know, and I know we're allowed to say the word, but we had this thing at work that we'd hear something and we'd hear a song, and I'm like, man, if you don't like Led Zeppelin, you're an asshole. And he's like, I agree. And I'm like, yeah. And that turned into something. Like, every single thing, it was like, well, you're an a-hole. And, you know, after all our numerous bright ideas, I said, man, we should write a book. And he kind of chuckled and was like, about that? And I'm like, yeah, and exactly. So he went home and came in the next morning. He was like, hey, man, I talked to my wife, and she said we're assholes if we don't write a book. And I'm like, well, I guess we better write a book. So I was like, dude, just start jotting stuff down. Send it to me. He sent me a bunch of stuff. I wrote a bunch of stuff, and then it really hit me. I'm like, you know, we can actually make this happen. So I started doing a lot of research, found a place that publishes, not too expensive, but then that's when the stress happened and the work happened. Like, oh, I got to format it, I got to edit it. Oh, we need a cover. Oh, we need a back cover. We need photos. So I kind of took the lead and said, I'm going to get all this done. And, you know, he helped out tremendously, and it was so stressful, though. I mean, it was cool when I finally got the book and said, it's done. Stress over. And this is how I operate. I set up a book release party at Super Electric.
Okay.
On a Saturday in September. The books weren't even finished and ready to be picked up until the day before.
Oh my gosh.
So during work, I drove and picked up the books, and I came in with the books. I already took one out, walked past his desk and said, congratulations, you're an author. 14 hours later, we had a release party, and I'm like, that was cutting it kind of close. That's why we don't follow through on these dumbass ideas, because it's like, we got deadlines. Are we going to meet any of this stuff? But it was cool. We did it. I'm very proud of it. I mean, believe me, we didn't do this to, like, make money. We didn't do this to be like, we're talented. We wrote a great book. I'll be one of the first to say, this book is crap. It's trash. It's stupid. But you know what? If I can make a few people laugh, it was so worth it.
I die. Like, there is a specific pinball section in here, I'm gonna tell you. And I was, some of it is regional specific. So if you don't know the people, like, in the, you know, Ohio pinball scene, it may not make sense. But there's a lot of things, too, that are just very general to pinball. And I'm gonna tell you, DJ, I was crying. I was laughing. So I think, but the thing that gets me is, you know, at the beginning of every chapter, there's a certain number of quotes that they have that relate to the chapter.
My idea.
I love it, especially because when you get to the pinball section, every single freaking quote is Don Johnson.
Yep.
Don Johnson! And if you are not from Ohio or know who Don Johnson is, and if you know who Don Johnson is, oh my gosh, I literally heard his voice in my head.
And that's
his voice in my head.
And that's why I'm doing all 5 quotes, because if you know Don, it makes sense.
Every single one of those quotes, I heard Don John. I was just like, I just can't. Like, I just heard Don in my head.
Yeah, it's like, it's brilliant. It made perfect sense.
Yes.
And actually, he got a kick out of it, because I know at the party, I kind of asked people, because, people bought it, we signed them, and, we try to insult everybody that we signed the book to, but in a nice way. I remember when I signed yours, I said something, last name Ruper, I said it rhymes with pooper, and that's kind of super duper.
I can read it right now if you would like me to. It says, Jen Ruper, your last name rhymes with pooper, which is super duper. Love you, trooper. # asshole. Yes. So yes, I thought that was perfect, because especially, so I, didn't have like a wonderful childhood growing up, and like when people made fun of me, they called me the super duper Ruper pooper scooper. So like, so when I read it, I was like, yes. It didn't offend me. I was just like, yes, I love it. That's, you know what, it works. Especially because you threw in trooper in there. I was like, nobody's ever thrown in trooper in there.
Yeah, because you are a trooper.
I try.
Amen.
I try.
I just one last thing about the book, like, I kind of asked a lot of people that bought it, I said, hey, don't open it here. Just when you get home, because I was too fixated on what are they thinking? What are they thinking? And there was a bunch of people that showed up that I'm like, uh-oh. I'm looking at Justin like, we didn't write this book for them. Because I'm like, okay, maybe they have a different sense of humor and they're not going to get it. Like, wait a minute, why did I just buy this? Because this isn't funny. Not to, knock on anybody's sense of humor or whatever, but there was a few people that I was like, I don't know. But then I started looking around and people disobeyed me, and I'm just seeing people chuckle. And Megan Brown, I love Megan Brown. She was one of the people that I'm like, yeah, she'll get it. She was over there belly laughing in the corner, and when I saw that, I just went, I think we did it.
Yes.
I think we reached people.
Yes.
I mean, I got reviews back like, hey, the worst thing I've ever read. I'm like, well, how's your book doing? You can criticize my book, our book, but I'm like, I haven't read your book. And you bring up a really good
point, which is so funny. That I'm going to digress here for a second, but it's just like, I grew up going to concerts a lot as a kid, as a teenager, and even as an adult. And I remember sitting there and being like, oh, I don't like this band. Oh, they could have done this better. And then I sit here and think, I'm like, why am I saying that? Because what band am I in? Like, why am I judging this person who's literally pouring their heart out on stage? And like, I'm not saying that you poured your heart out on this book.
I mean,
a little bit. But like, I like it because, the one thing I think that stood out to me is that we're all assholes. We are. And
absolutely.
Like, we just have to embrace it and like know that it's not a bad thing when somebody calls you an asshole. Like,
embrace it.
Embrace it. It's really, it's so funny because like I read the first sentence and I was like, oh God, I've done that.
I mean, okay, now I'll let you in on a secret. A third of the book is things I do.
Oh yeah.
I'm not unscathed. I'm guilty, and I'm like, well, yeah, I think I'm an asshole. I think, you do it too. Hey, welcome to the club.
So I think the one that stood out in the pinball one is the people's shoes. So tell me about why you pay so much attention to the shoes that people are wearing.
I'm a shoe guy. Like, I'm what they call a sneakerhead. I'm a collector. I have a lot of pairs of shoes. So I kind of take pride in not being a collector, but just I love shoes. So I'm like, is anybody else like me around here? So I kind of look down. I'm like, well, nope, obviously that person isn't. And nope. So it's one of those things I'm drawn to. Some people are into blonde hair, so they're going to look at hair. They're into blue eyes. They look at blue eyes. I'm into shoes. I look at shoes, you know?
So I'm going to ask you, do you have Disney Plus?
Yes.
Have you watched the Jeff Goldblum series?
Yes.
Did you watch the series on shoes?
Absolutely.
Could you relate to that?
Yes. I remember when that came out, I was getting texts and messages with the link, like, oh, you gotta check this out, because, you know, my close friends, like, know, like, if you hardly know me, you're like, oh, that guy, he's got a couple pairs of Jordans or whatever. I'm like, yeah, you know, a couple, whatever, but my, you know, people that really, really know me, they're like, check this out. And I get that stuff all the time, and I'm like, no, I get it, I'm on top of the game, I know what's out there, I've seen it, but that was pretty cool.
So how do you feel about Jeff Goldblum, though, reporting on it?
Respect.
Do you like Jeff Goldblum? I love Jeff Goldblum. Like,
who doesn't? He was the Fly.
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen that movie in so long. I have seen that movie.
In the theater.
Yeah, I have. No, I never. Well, in the theater was before my time, but I have seen that movie. But as we digress, which is okay. But as we digress, at the end of your book, you allude to the asshole strikes back. So there is going to be a chapter 2, right?
I mean, I don't think I put it in there to fool with people. You know, it's like, hey, I mean, it's something we want to do. I mean, I know you and I discussed personally outside of this about the podcast we're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, there's a lot in the works, but then again, it takes us back to, oh, we should start a band. We should do this. It's like, just do it already. Like, the podcast is different because our chemistry is better together. Like, when we're face to face, we just bounce ideas.
Sure.
But with the shelter in place and the COVID and all that, it's like, I can't go over to his place. He can't come over to my place. So it's like, you know, texting and emailing, it's not the same. So I need things to get back to the new normal in somewhat safe way, and then we can bounce. So if you have a podcast, if you want to talk about it, we don't have to, but if you had a podcast, like, well, when you start, let me rephrase that. When you start your podcast, because yes, I'm gonna challenge DJ to do this. When you start your podcast, what is it gonna look like? What are you gonna talk about? Diamond rings and mink coats and pinball players' shoes and it's more observations, and it's kind of like one of the ideas we had is, let's go through our day. What happened today that you saw or you did, or, you know, and go off each other, and, you know, hopefully one of us really screws up and does something really a-hole-ish, and I could just, like, yeah, just go and go and go, and the other person takes it. I don't know. I mean, it's beginning stages. Like I said, we need to get together. Well,
and I think that the message that you're trying to get, again, like we kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, was that, you know, you're an asshole, but it's not bad to be that. We all have those feelings. Yeah, we all have those feelings, and like you said, I think it was in your your thinking notes of who you were thinking, is like, it's okay to be an asshole. We have to embrace it, we have to understand it, and we have to know that, you know, it's okay. We all have the same feelings, right? It's not bad, but, you know, everybody does things that annoy other people, so to speak, and as long as you own up to those feelings, and correct me if I'm wrong, as long as you own up to those feelings and you're proud of what you do, then it doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the other day somebody called me an asshole in the grocery store, and I said, you're welcome. Sorry.
Don't say sorry. Like, I think that's great. Like, again, I know that there's some things, it's one of those things too that, again, I read the first, so I have to go back to this now, because I gotta read the first sentence of the food section, which literally says, If you take pictures of your food and post it on social media, you're a pretentious asshole. Eat shit, nobody cares. I've done that. I've done that so many times. So many times.
Again, and I don't be like, yeah, call me what you want. Here's my food.
Yeah, and I think, but I post food that I think looks delicious, and if you don't think it looks delicious, I would agree with you. I'd say if you don't think it looks delicious, that's okay. Whatever. I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyway. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You should.
So tell me, so then let's go into that transition a little bit, is that you're not meaning to call people assholes in the derogatory sense, right?
Not at all.
Yeah. So how are you trying to like convey that or express that to people of like, it's okay to be an asshole?
Well, I mean, I think I say it best like at the beginning of the book, and, you know, just saying, hey, don't be offended by this. First of all, it's all fun. You know, I'm not being like totally serious. Like, nope, don't ever talk to me. If you do that, if you wear New Balance while you're playing pinball, don't ever talk to me. We'll never be friends. You know, we'll see. Now, ask Michael Trombetta when next time you see him what the pinball shoe, official pinball shoe is. We counted New Balance last year at Pinburg, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Anyway, you know, embrace what you love. I mean, just because somebody says, oh, that sucks, doesn't mean like, well, it doesn't suck. It's my view. And I'm like, well, yeah, and you have that view, and like what you like. We're all guilty of doing something that somebody else is going to frown on. And it's like, well, man, frown on it all you want, but we're still buddies, right? We're still homies. It's like, I mean, it's all love. I mean, my mom, the most cherished person on this planet to me. I love my mom more than life itself. She's an asshole. And I will tell her she's an asshole. But guess what? At the end of the day, I'm going to hug her, kiss her on the cheek, and be like, you're my mom.
Oh.
And I'm your asshole son. You know, I mean, you can't be mad. And if anybody does get mad at the stupid things we wrote in the book, you know, picking on things or having our views, then don't read it. You know,
I don't think you can. I think you, I mean, I don't want to use the term, like, take it with a grain of salt, but, like, you almost do need to take it with a grain of salt, right? Because it's things that you observe in your daily life all the time that are, but you know what? It makes you laugh. It makes you, you know, think like, okay, you know what? It's okay. And as long as it brings you joy, nobody cares. Like, you know what? Just have fun.
And
be yourself.
If you can't laugh at yourself.
Laugh at yourself. Laugh at yourself.
Yeah, and that was one of the rules we had. We said, okay, we gotta make sure we reach everybody. Every type of person we know, family members, friends, like, we gotta touch a nerve on everybody just to see reactions and just to hear back from people. And I mean, it was mostly positive. We made some people mad, but hey, lighten up.
You know, you've got leagues that are hopefully starting back up again. You know, you've got potentially a follow-up to, you know, your co-authored book that's coming out. You're working on a podcast. What else are you doing? Like, what else is new, and what else should we expect from DJ in the near future?
Some of this.
Oh, you're brewing your own beer?
No, just drinking it.
Oh, just drinking. Okay. Well, yes. So just drinking. Okay.
Drinking it, watching your suggested TV shows, buying shoes, working, negotiating with this guy, trying to get better at pinball. I mean, I have a couple games back there.
Well, you know what? I think it's really funny because, you know, when I read in your book about, you know, you said like, oh, playing pinball with like, you know, showing how bad I am at playing pinball, but like, and there he is.
DJ!
He finally makes his appearance.
Love that.
He finally makes his appearance. Hey, sugar boogies, come here. But like,
it's like he's on beat.
yeah. Hey.
I'm off beat.
Hey, sugar, come here. Come here. All right, but it's really, I read in your book, and I know you make mention about like playing pinball with people, you know, who are better than you. However, you're a really, really, really great player. Like, I look at you, and don't look back and think like, are you talking to me? Because I am talking to you. Like, don't look at your manager. Like, I am. Like, you're a really great player. And so I know that you kind of mentioned that we have been playing competitively the same amount of time, but how long have you actually been playing?
My grandfather owned a bar when I was like a wee lad, and they used to have pinball machines in there, and I would tinker and whatever, and then they'd get another machine in, and yeah, I would be there like once a week. You know, my mother ran it, so, you know, no babysitter. Guess what? I'm going to the bar, and hey, there's a pinball machine. Scram, kid. And then as I got a little older, I would like go back in there and be like, hey, you guys got, and I remember like Adam's Family. It was brand new. They got it, and I'm like playing, and I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, so if you kind of short plunge, there's this little scoop, and it gives you bonus points called a skill shot. I'm like, what is that? And then like they had Indiana Jones, they had Dirty Harry, so I started kind of learning this stuff, and then poof, 20 years go by, and then Michael Trombetta, him and I have been friends for over 30 years. This is my guy. You know, him and I hadn't talked to each other for a couple of years, and, you know, he texted me one day, like, man, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know, you know, whatever. And he's like, man, let's go to lunch. It's been a while. I'm like, sure. So, you know, small talk, catching up. I'm like, so what have you been doing? He's like, hey, you know, just playing pinball. I'm like, pinball? That thing? And he's like, well, yeah. I'm like, they still make those? He's like, yeah, it's pretty big. I'm like, well, okay. You know, and he's telling me, oh, there's these leagues and there's tournaments, and, you know, he's saying the word bank, like you play an A bank. You play, and I'm like, I know the bank where I put my ATM in and I get $20 up. I mean, you know, what is a bank? So he's like, well, we can go right down the road and play. And I remember we went down the road and played, and I remember the first game we played was Theater of Magic, and I remember that from, you know, way back in the day.
Yep.
And I remember doing this shot and locking a ball, and I remember him saying, so what you want to do is, and I hit the trunk, and he was like, yeah, that's what you want to do. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, pinball's pretty easy. So we were out till like 2 in the morning, going from this place to this place to this place, playing pinball. Because I was like, oh my God, I remember this. I need this in my life. And the next day I texted him, I was like, so what's up with this league with the banks? You know, I still don't know what a bank is. So I joined the Kid Force League, and I went into it saying, oh yeah, I'm good at pinball. I hit the trunk in Theater of Magic. And then I get up there and I'm like, yeah, I'm not good at pinball at all. Look at these people. And I'm like, and I almost quit after like the first day.
Oh, I'm so glad you did.
Nobody was talking to me. I'm the new guy, which I kind of expected, and I was just like intimidated because these people are like doing these weird tricks and all this, and I'm like, oh my, how is he doing that? You know, and Mike had, you know, like a year experience on me, so he knew what he was doing, but I couldn't translate it. And then I'm like, okay, either quit or you study. So then I started watching pinball videos and started learning rules and, you know, the retention. And it's like, wow, this is a lot of work, but it's fun. And I got into it. I dove head first. I'm like, this is my new thing. And that was 4 years ago. And I love it. I'm so thankful that he contacted me and said, let's go to lunch. And then we started that conversation. I'm like, it's on from here.
So, well, here's the thing that I'd like to get into is that you've been in state. So you've been playing competitively for 4 years, right?
Yep.
So you've been in states, I'm pretty sure 3 out of those 4 years?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I missed the one by 0.2 points.
So 2.
My second competitive year, but the last 2 years I've made it.
So 2 years you've been in states.
By the grace of God, I've made it.
So 2 years, but no, but still making it into states, which, you know, we all know, Ohio, if you don't know, I don't want to say we all know, Ohio is a super state. So, like, when it comes to the actual states tournaments, we don't have 16, we have 24. Because of the number of tournaments, the amount of people who show up to leagues. So we do have a little bit more than some of the other states. So you are still top 24 in the state. So, like, you know, talk to me a little bit about that, about how, like, you know, you are so humble, in my opinion, where you're like, I just play, like, I do this, like, you know, I do this, I just play, like, I try and, like, just get better. So how do you, like, convey that, you know, humility, if that's the word? I'm making it up right now if it is.
I like it.
Yeah. How do you convey that to other people where it's just like, you know what, we're all here to play, but we still want to be competitive, but, like, listen, like, I'm here because, like, I just want to have fun. And that's always the vibe that I get from you, is like, dude, just have fun. Like.
Yeah. I mean, when I started playing, you know, it was like learning, and, you know, and then, you know, it was always fun. Then it gets competitive, and then sometimes it wasn't fun, but you can't forget why you started playing. You didn't start playing to be competitive and get angry and mad. Like,
right.
And to do that, you have to learn. You have to watch. You have to talk to people. In our community, JJ's part of our community.
Hey.
We all teach each other and help each other out. You know, nobody's going to be a jerk and be like, after the game. Well, some people might do that. You know, the thing with me...
JJ. Hey, come here. DJ's telling a story. Come on.
No, man. So to be in the States, like top 24, you know, I'm honored. I'm proud of that because. Come here.
Come listen. Hey, come listen. Come here. Hey, come
on, JJ.
JJ.
Listen.
Come here. Come hear this story. Come here. Yes, we want to hear this story. Yep. All right. So to be in the States. Yeah,
it was an honor. It's like, because you play in Ohio, you know the caliber of players that play here, and you're like, you know, it's a murderer's row. You're like, okay, he's here, she's here, he's here. Oh, wow. I was like, oh, this is going to be a quick tournament. But to have made it that far and actually qualified 2 years in a row, it's humbling, and but that's when the pressure's on. Like, you know, this year, I had to play Megan Brown first round. And Megan Brown is, like, my rival, but...
She's your pinball twin.
Probably my favorite pinball player to play with.
Do you know about pinball twin? I'm gonna digress for a second. Do you know about pinball twins?
Please do.
So pinball twins, as JJ is just like, you know what, I'm gonna sit on you. So pinball twin is, if you actually, like, look onto IFPA, if you try and find somebody who is kind of around the same, like, ranking as you and the same, like, win-loss ratio as you, that's your pinball twin. So somebody who, like, if you play each other enough that, like, you know, they win half the time, you win half the time, and your ranking is kind of the same, would Megan be your, like, pinball twin?
Yes. I mean, I know the first tournament I ever played in, you know, she was there and I noticed her. I was like, oh, hey, she's got cool tattoos, and wow, look at, she's kind of jumping around, and I was like, wow, I need to learn how to do that, you know. I mean, she's very good. There's a few of you aggressive players. You're one of them. Amy's one of them. Pooh. And actually, Pooh jumped on my foot during a tournament, didn't skip a beat, and just said, sorry. Didn't even look over to me. She just said, sorry, and I went, it's okay. And I limped away. Anyway, back to Megan. She's one of the first people I, you know, got to know playing pinball. And I'm like, wow, you know, and I really admired her because I'm like, wow, she can play. You know, she is a pinball player. So I'm watching. I'm like, okay, well, it's that game. Let me go home and learn. And, you know, and years later, you know, tournaments, and actually she has a better win record against me than I have against her.
Win-loss,
she's above me, yeah. So I drew her first round, and I'm like, Okay, I drove 2 hours to Columbus. I got a hotel room to get swept and go home. You know, confidence is shot because I'm like, I'm playing basically my pinball hero. You know, I was a higher seed. I deferred. She picked Adam's Family, and I'm like, okay, you know, we've done this at Kid Force.
Yeah.
And the one time we did it at Kid Force, I deferred the ladder match to her. She picked Adam's Family. I got eliminated. So as soon as I did that and she picked Adam's Family, I'm like, here we go again. She beat me. And I'm like, I'm in the hole. Confidence is out the window. You know, Iron Maiden's in the bank. Jurassic Park's in the bank. I'm like, she owns both of those games. I'm like, I can't pick those games against her.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to pick Columbus games that
mousing around.
Well, Don has a mousing around, but it was like the Bonsai
Run. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you. So I know. So I'm gonna digress for a second. I know there was something that you wanted to talk about with this. Is that was I faced Megan. So in the Ohio Women's States, it came down to me and Megan for who was gonna be into the finals. So Megan and I were playing each other with the semifinals, and I felt so bad. Like, this is the hardest thing when it comes to women's pinball for me. Is just like, oh my gosh, like all these people, let me rephrase that. All these women that like I know and that I play with, especially in Ohio, have like taught me everything that I know. And I feel so guilty playing against them because I'm like, you're my mentor. Like, you literally taught me everything that I know, and like having to like be here in this situation of playing against you, I'm like, I hope you win. I don't care. And like Megan was one of them. And of course, Megan, I think, did the same thing to me. She was like, she took me to Adam's Family and she won. And so I took her to Bonsai Run. But the competitive person in me, because Megan was like, I've never played this game. I don't know. Well, she didn't say that. She was like, I don't know what's going on in this game. Like, I know this game, but I don't know it that well. And I was like, well, here's what you do. And I said, it's this, this, and this. Because to me, I don't want to lose knowing that I knew this game and my competitor doesn't. I want to lose knowing that we both played the best games that we could, knowing everything. So I'm the type of person in a tournament setting that like I have no problems sharing my knowledge on the table because I want to know that I lost, that I played the best person that I can, or like they played the best game that they could.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's just me. Like, that's my personal opinion, like.
And again, that's why we're all family, because we will do that.
Yes.
And I love hearing that. Thank you.
Can we have a hug? We'll just do like we'll do a virtual hug right now. Yes. JJ wants to give a hug too.
Yeah, JJ, there you go. Don will do JJ hug. Don, JJ, Don.
Yes.
So I ended up beating her in the tournament.
Yes.
I remember giving her a hug and whispering a couple things in her ear, like, hey, you know, I wish you could have won. You know, I mean, we're who we are. And she's like, hey, man, good luck. You know, and it was hard for me to let go because, Megan Brown's my girl. Yeah. And then I had to go against James Scott, the 1 seed. And the worst part about that is I had him 3-1. I needed one more win to knock him out. By the way, congratulations, James, state champ. Dude's a class act. James is a solid cat, man. Good dude. Real good dude.
Super awesome guy. Like, James Scott, him and his dad both are just like the nicest of nicest individuals I have ever met in Columbus. Like, everybody in Columbus is fucking top notch in my opinion, but like those two guys are just so freaking nice. So freaking nice.
So I remember he picked, I think it was a 2-1 at this point, and he picked Guardians. And we had Guardians at Kid Force for like 2 months, and I played it 10 times. I'm like, okay. And he picked that, I'm like, great. So I'm, watching, what is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? And you were actually commentating with Scott at the time. So So my second ball, I blew it up. I ended up draining, and I'm walking, and there you are at the commentary booth, standing up with your arm out, like high five, and I'm like, oh, I guess I did good, you know? And then he ended up having a bad ball 3, and I won. I didn't play my ball 3. And then he destroyed me the rest of the game, went on to win the state tournament. James Scott, my guy. But I remember watching the stream afterwards, a couple days later, and I'm like, your knowledge is insane with pinball. Like me, I retain for like 20 minutes, and then it's, okay, I need to remember this game, and I don't remember this game, and then, but I was watching the stream, and you were saying, okay, what I think he's going to do is this, and I'm like, I did some of it, but only because, like, well, that was lit, that arrow, you know, and then you were like, well, he should do this, and then I didn't do it. I'm like, damn, I need to take notes, Don. I was like, I need to do this next time. But you were calling everything out, and I'm like, how do you remember all that? I mean, there's so many games we play, so many things you have to learn, and yeah, granted, you guys have the game. We only had it for a couple months, and I didn't play it a lot, because personally, I don't like the game a lot. But to hear you call out things, and even watching, like, when James was playing, I'm like, if I had that knowledge, I would be a better player. I just don't have it. I'm old, I forget, I don't know.
So, all right.
It's impressive.
So, well, thank you. So I equate it to this. So you seem like a very big music person to me. Music, yes.
It's fun.
You enjoy music? Yes. Did you listen to music a lot when you were growing up?
I'm a music weirdo. Yes,
okay.
I love music.
So if somebody were to come to you and say, all right, this Styx song, what album was it on? When did it air? What else was on that album? Would you know it?
Probably.
So I equate pinball to that. So one of the things that so growing up, I was a huge music person too. Like I did decent in school. I wasn't like, you know, I was, you know, A's and B's. I wasn't like a straight A student, but like I did well. But the things that resonated with me were my interests. So like if you talk to me about a music album, I could say, okay, brand new. This album, it came out in this year. These were the songs that are on it. I could do this. I could name everything on that album. Pinball's the same way for me. I'm like, all right, if I can get into it and I know here's the X, Y, and Z skill shots, here's what you need to do, here's a strategy for it, it really resonates with me. And, you know, there's still so much I don't know. Like, I'm still on a daily basis, like, learning, you know, things that are just, you know, some people do and I'm like, wow, I would have never thought of that. But like, it's so weird to me to have somebody tell me like, man, if I would have known what you were saying, I would have done that. That's super weird to me because I'm like, oh, I am not like a top-notch player whatsoever. I was like, you made states and I didn't. So like, that's what I'm saying. Like, they should listen to you more than they listen to me because I didn't make states. So.
Hey, well, but you're a great player. Trust me, because of your knowledge and your skill set. I was there from the beginning. I remember the young girl coming up to Stonehenge, and you're like, oh, you know. And then I said, okay, yeah, she's a new player. You know, I'm a new player. But then I seen the progress, and I'm like, yeah, she could play. You know, she is a pinballer. And I've seen it, and I'm like, I'm impressed with your play. Absolutely. I'm impressed with your knowledge of the game, though, because not only that state final, but I'm a fan of Level 1's streaming. Scott, I put Scott in the book. I'm like, hey man, your streaming is top notch.
Oh, Scott, I love you so much.
That, like, I hear you grab the headset, and I'm just like looking back, and I'm like, how does she know all this? And I mean, obviously you know it all, but like to retain it and diagram everything out, and I'm like ask him. He's my guy, but I'll take out the notepad, and I'm like, okay, so when I play this, I need to do this, I need to do this. I'm taking notes, because I'm like, she knows. I can learn it, I can watch a video, I can read a rule set. Guess what? Tomorrow, I forgot it. I'm an idiot.
feel like it's just like with any sport, right? Did you play sports growing up?
Yes.
What did you play?
I played baseball, basketball. I'm a little too light in the ass to play football. Yeah, baseball, basketball.
So, did you know all the rules of baseball when you first started playing?
Yeah. Well, sure, but there's only like, so many rules, but then, when...
But here's the thing, it's like, when your like base coach goes like...
It's across the letters to steal second.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Right I mean, you can pull on the air a couple times, but across the letters, steal. Trust me.
But here, it's no different, right? There's still strategy. There's still strategy in any sport that you play, whether how simple or complicated it is. And pinball is no different. And the only difference with pinball in strategy is that it's you against the game. It's not you against any other player. It's you against the game. Because you're all playing, to quote John Johnson, it plays the same for everybody, right? So, like...
I hate Don. I hate him. I love Don.
Right.
Anyway.
we all have a love-hate relationship with Don, and like, but I agree with his statement. It plays the same for everybody. Like, you cannot complain when the game is literally playing the same for everybody. And like, you either you know the rules and you adapt, and you figure it out from there.
Yes.
So it's like, at that point, I don't know. I don't know why rules just retain in my brain. I didn't.
Now you admit that you have a talent of that.
I don't know why they retain in my brain though. I don't know. I mean, there's certain people, and I applaud that, and I think it's a talent. There's been Pinburgs I've been at, and I'm looking down the row at the game I'm in, and I'm like, oh, I see Jeffrey Dixon, or I see Alec. Yeah.
Kizmarchik, and I'm like, dude, I'm playing Motordome, man. What do I do? And he's like, oh, just do this and hit that 3 times. And I'm like, that's it? He's like, yeah, scram, kid. And I'm like, okay, so I get up to the game and I do that, and I'm like, what?
But I've done the same thing. But here's the thing for me is that I've done the same thing. Is that my thing is like I might know newer Sterns, but like old like SS's, EMs, like your old Gottliebs, things like that, I'm like,
sure.
No,
sure.
Like I don't know those rules whatsoever. So it's like when I start to hear things like that, I'm like, ooh, I want to learn those rules. I want to know what you need to do on Motordome. Like, but like newer Sterns, yeah, I could comprehend those because there's a lot of stuff to comprehend. But like the older games, I don't know anything about.
Yeah, and I mean, how many games have you played at Pinburg where you've never played before? You're like, what do I do?
There was one, I think it was my second game during my first round on Friday. I was like so hoping that I didn't get the game first because I had no idea how to actually use the flippers. But I ended up getting first on my game, and I was like, yep, I'm going first. Like, I'm going first. And I told my group, I was like, don't make fun of me if I don't know how to play this game. I have no shame in that. I don't know how to play this game, so don't make fun of me. Like,
or is that your hustle?
No, because I literally didn't know how to play the game whatsoever.
Sure.
It was like some motocross game, but like the flippers were almost like triggers on the side. It was.
I played the game and there was a racetrack on the screen.
Yes. It was the same. It was the same.
Make the left ramp.
Yeah, it was the same bank as Theater of Magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I played that bank. Yep.
Yeah. No. But it also brings me to like a really great point too that I knew I wanted to bring up during this. Is it you or Justin that has a hard time when people call it tables?
Both.
I call it tables.
We agreed on that.
I call it tables all the time. Why is it such a big deal that, oh man, that table is super hard?
No, and again, we touched on earlier, that's fine. Amen.
Yeah.
I grew up knowing them as pinball machines.
Okay. What would be your nickname? What would be your nickname for them? Pins?
pinball machines.
Now you would the pin, but if you're trying to like,
I'm old school. Once something is there, that's what it is. You know, I mean, yeah, like somebody pins. Oh, well, pins mechanical. You know, there's a bar or whatever called that. You know, it's like exactly.
But I'm saying like you would call them pins. I don't know. But that's the thing too. Is like after I read the statement, I was like, I don't even know why I call them tables. I just call them tables. Like,
well, see. Where that starts is you heard someone else say it.
This is true. This is very true.
And then, it's like me, I like shoes. I don't call shoes shoes. I don't call shoes sneakers. I call them Jordans.
If they're Jordans, if they're not Jordans, what do you call them?
Well, that's all I own.
Oh.
I only buy Michael Jordan shoes.
So if I were to get a pair of Jordans, which Jordans would you recommend for me?
Oh, the 11, well, actually, on the 20th of June, on the Sneakers app, which is a Nike app, the 11 Concord lows are coming out.
Okay.
My favorite Jordan of all time. I own 5 pairs right now. Not the lows. This is the second time the lows are coming out. The first time they came out, they sold out in like 30 seconds, and I didn't get them, and I was angry, and I went and drank a bunch of these and yelled at him. But
he should have been on there with you trying to get them.
Concord 11s or Cement 3s. I know that none of that means anything to you, but if you go back and look, and you can pick up a pair, I will gladly, like, when I see you, because I'm a shoe guy, and I told you I'll be like, oh, JayRupe, hey.
So Concord, I'm at Concord 11s or something 3s.
Cement 3s.
Cement 3s. So Concord 11s or Cement 3s. Are either of those teal?
Are they what?
Are they teal? Like the color teal?
No.
I really like the color teal. So if like there was a Jordan that was like the color teal, that would be like right up my alley.
Aqua 8s.
Aqua 8s. Okay. Are they rare? Are they rare and are they expensive?
Yeah, you can get a pair right now for about $250.
That's expensive for a pair of shoes.
That's expensive. Oh, absolutely, it's expensive.
So $250 for a pair of shoes, considering I spend like $10 on like the shoes that I usually wear.
I get it. Yeah, absolutely. Again, I don't know how many times I've referenced in this show that I'm an idiot.
No. All right, no. Because like I sit and look at, when I clean out my craft closet and I think about how much stuff, like how much money I've spent on like craft supplies, I'm like, oh dear goodness. Oh my gosh. Like, people don't understand. Like, it is an obsession. Like, it's a hobby. It's a hobby that you're into, and that you shouldn't be judged on how much money you spend on your hobby, because that's what interests you. And like, that's what makes you happy. And like, I would challenge anybody of like, what hobby are you into? How much money have you spent on it? Are you a cook? How much money have you spent on knives, on food supplies, on things like that, on cooking classes? That's exactly what, no judgment. I'm rambling. I'm going to stop rambling right now.
No. Those are great points, because if you're passionate about something, do it.
Exactly.
Who cares what anybody thinks? Hey, if that's what you're into, do it. I consider pinball and shoe collecting not a hobby, not a what. I consider it a sickness, because I'm like, I can't stop. And is it like detrimental or whatever? It's like, I look at, the money I spent, I'm like, what else could I have done with that money? And I'm like, I could have done that, but guess what? I did this instead, and I'm happy with it.
I don't necessarily think if I would consider it a sickness, because if it's something that brings you joy, I don't think that it's something that could be a sickness. So it's more of, I would just consider it a general hobby, right? Because, it doesn't matter how into your hobby you are, if it's something that you're passionate about, and it's something that you have drive for, and it's something that you want to inspire other people to do, then it can't be a sickness. And it's just like, again, like it's making other people aware of like, you know what? This is something that you could do. Whether it be, again, writing a book, whether it be talking about pinball, whether it be, you know, just existing in general. Like, it's fine. Like, this is something that I'm into. You should do what you find that's into and just, like, be passionate about it.
Can we sign her to our team? Because she makes a lot of good points. She needs to be on Team Knucklehead. Yeah, well said.
I'm ready to be on Team Knucklehead. I can do that.
You remember. Now, are you a ghoul?
I don't know what that means.
Okay. That'll be the next episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about that off camera about what that means.
Fair enough.
Yes, I don't know what that means. Maybe I do, I just don't know, you know, but...
you know, okay.
Yeah. But, alright, so the great transition is to, you know, we've talked about a lot of different things, but is there anything, as I like to always say, you would like to convey to the masses, or any final thoughts that you have for everybody who's watching out there?
Stay safe, love each other, respect each other, sign with Team Knucklehead, buy New Balance shoes to play pinball. I mean, that's fine. Give JJ a shout out if he ever barks at you. Give Jen a hug if you ever play pinball with her. Just enjoy life. Have fun.
So DJ,
was that dumb? I don't know.
No, it's not dumb at all, but you're an asshole. You're an asshole. I mean, I'm telling you that, but I'm telling you that in a very loving way.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. You know, if you are interested in his book, is there still a potential to get one? Are we all sold out at this point?
I'll tell you, pretty low on inventory, and there's some inventory for nostalgic reasons, family reasons, and all that. I don't think there's an active link right now in our store, but when Jen posts this episode, comment. You don't even have to comment on the book. You could just say, well, that guy sucked, or, you know, whatever, his agent's fat, you know, like, whatever. You know, comment, I'll look through the comments, I'll do a little generator, you know, the numbers, and I'll tell you what, I'll pick a winner, message me, I will message you, I'll send you a copy for free. Contest, first contest on the show.
First contest on the show, if you're hearing it right now. So what DJ's gonna do is, if you leave a comment on this video, we are gonna enter you into the drawing, and that you are gonna be entered in to win a copy of his book, You're an Asshole, which is a great, absolutely great read. So I'm gonna start to wrap things up because I see my camera pointing at me, telling me that my battery is really low. So DJ, oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining me today. I had so much fun. I can't wait to keep talking to you when this is done. I can't wait to keep talking to you when this is done. But it's been my pleasure of having you on here. Thank you again so much. I wish all of you the best of luck. Can't wait to see you at Clepen.
Red Dragons.
Yes.
Love you.
Love you too, DJ. Bye. Oh my gosh, DJ, thank you so much for talking with me. I had so much fun, as always do when I hang out with you, and I cannot wait to see you. I miss you and everybody else in Cleveland so much. And like you said, anybody who leaves a comment on this video or anything that's associated with this video is going to be entered into a drawing to win a copy of his book, which in my opinion is a 10 out of 10 read. So make sure you leave a comment. Let us know. It doesn't have to be about this book, but leave a comment and you will be entered into that drawing. And as always, if you liked the video that you saw, don't forget to hit that like button, as well as don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you know when new videos get posted. Thank you again, DJ, for talking with me. I had so much fun, and thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.